So I want to start off today by asking you, the listener, a direct question. Just take a second and really think about this. What is your absolute biggest fear?
That's a heavy way to start.
Yeah, I know, but I mean it. Think about that specific anxiety that, keeps you up at night, just staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning when the house is completely quiet.
Right.
Now, for a tiny fraction of you, maybe your answer is, I don't know, spiders or heights.
Or public speaking, that's a huge one.
Exactly. But if we are being completely honest with ourselves, for about 99% of people, the answer ultimately boils down to one single pervasive thing.
Money.
Money. Yeah, it's the fear of losing a job and, not being able to find another one. It's the terror of missing a mortgage payment.
Or that looming shadow of a medical bankruptcy.
Right. Or even just the persistent grinding stress of just not having enough resources to make it to the end of the month.
Yeah, and that anxiety is, it's essentially the universal baseline of the modern world. I mean, it's this quiet hum in the background of almost every single decision we make, from the careers we choose to the places we live, all the way down to, the literal food we put in our grocery carts.
And that universal hum is the exact subject we are tackling in today's Deep Dives. We're looking at a stack of notes, some translations, and excerpts from a radically thought-provoking manifesto.
It really is wild.
It is. It's titled The Currency of Joy: How to Survive and Thrive Without Money in Civilization 3.0.
That title alone just kind of grabs you.
Oh, for sure. And our mission today is to explore this source's blueprint for a society that is completely devoid of bank accounts, like entirely free of wage slavery and stripped of all debt.
Right.
The text refers to this ultimate societal evolution as the second home model. And honestly, the scope of it is just massive.
It is fundamentally a paradigm-shifting text. To set the stage for you, what this manifesto envisions is this massive, unprecedented delegation of duties. It proposes taking the vast majority of our really complex global logistics, so everything from supply chains to energy grids, and handing them over entirely to artificial intelligence.
It's giving them the keys.
Pretty much. And it proposes doing this with one singular overarching goal, which is to give the Earth back to humans.
Which, handing the Earth back to humans sounds perfectly idyllic, right? But the author argues we first have to admit that we don't actually own our time right now.
No, we rent it.
Exactly, we rent it. Because before we can even conceptualize how this utopian Civilization 3.0 operates, the source insists we really look at its harsh diagnosis of our current reality.
Right, which it calls Civilization 2.0.
Yeah, Civilization 2.0. And let me tell you, it does not hold back.
Not at all.
The manifesto traces the evolution of currency, pointing out that money was originally created just as a simple tool for exchange.
Like a convenient way to trade a basket of apples for a pair of shoes.
Right, so you don't have to carry the apples everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But over no longer just a tool of exchange. The author argues it has become a mechanism of absolute control.
Okay, let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's a big claim.
It is. What's fascinating here is the underlying argument that in Civilization 2.0, humans are coerced into an involuntary trade. You're trading your physical youth, your mental health, and your finite time on this planet, and the text explicitly phrases it this way: earn the right to exist.
Man, that specific phrase, earn the right to exist, that really stuck with me.
It's heavy.
It's so heavy because the text classifies our current everyday state of being not as actual living, but as high-tech survival.
Yeah.
It frames our current financial system in a way that feels, to me, a lot like an incredibly stressful, poorly designed video game.
Oh, I like that analogy.
You know those games where your character has a health bar?
Well,
only in this game, your health bar is just your bank balance.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, the game is rigged so that you are constantly taking passive damage just by existing. You wake up in the morning, damage.
You eat breakfast. Bam.
Exactly. You need a safe place to sleep. Massive recurring damage every single month. You spend your entire waking life frantically running around looking for health potions, which are just your paychecks, merely to keep that bar from hitting zero.
That is so accurate. And to build on that video game analogy, the manifesto is essentially asking you to imagine what happens when you enter God mode.
Okay, God mode. Like infinite money.
Well, no, not a version of the game where you suddenly have infinite money or infinite health potions. It's a fundamental reprogramming where the health bar mechanic is removed from the game entirely.
Oh, wow. just gone.
Just gone. It encourages you to critically examine the assumptions we all hold about the absolute necessity of trading our time for survival.
Because we just assume that's how it has to be.
Exactly. We've been conditioned to accept this constant drain on our resources as an immutable law of physics, like gravity. But the manifesto challenges that directly. It asks, what if the health bar was an illusion? What if housing was guaranteed, organic food was freely available, healthcare was rooted in natural wellness, and elder care was provided by human connection simply because you were born?
Not because you proved your economic worth.
Right, just because you occupy space on the planet.
Which, I mean, sounds phenomenal on paper, but it immediately creates a massive logical hurdle.
Oh, sure.
Because how on earth do we get from Civilization 2.0, where absolutely everything has a price tag, to Civilization 3.0, where we just, get to exist?
Yeah, that's the big question.
The source claims the mechanism for this transition lies in aggressively stripping away societal noise through something called Hunden management.
Right, Hunden management.
The word Hunden is a Chinese term, and the text translates it roughly to a state of primordial chaos or undifferentiation. But I'll be honest, the leap from primordial chaos to a functioning utopian society is logically missing a step for me.
Well, the mechanism the author proposes isn't about promoting chaos just for the sake of destruction.
Right.
The manifesto argues that by letting our artificial bureaucratic structures collapse into this Hunden or undifferentiation, only the true physical bedrock of survival remains.
Right.
Think of it like a controlled forest fire. Foresters will intentionally start fires to burn away the dense, suffocating underbrush.
So the big trees have room to grow.
Exactly. So the towering, essential trees have the nutrients and space to actually thrive. Civilization 2.0 has grown an incredible amount of bureaucratic underbrush.
And the text is very specific about what constitutes that underbrush.
Yeah.
It labels it all meaningless work.
Yes.
It targets the endless corporate meetings that really could have been emails, the bloated middle management hierarchy.
Some multi-billion-dollar marketing illusions.
Right? Designed to sell us things we literally don't need. And of course, the entirely speculative world of high-frequency finance.
Yeah, the argument is that none of these industries grow a single grain of wheat. They don't build a single home.
They're just the scaffolding.
Exactly. They're just the scaffolding of a system that is obsessed with infinite economic growth.
Wow. Okay, so the foundational premise of Hunden management is that society has to stop pouring trillions of hours of human intellect and physical energy into those artificial complexities.
Precisely. If we burn away the marketing campaigns and the speculative stock trading, the focus naturally narrows down to purely essential tasks.
What?
Well, the only things that remain in the system are growing food, building sustainable shelters, maintaining vital infrastructure, and creating beauty or art.
And that's it.
That is the entire scope of human endeavor in this model. The baseline guarantees of this new society, housing, food, healthcare, they're mathematically possible only because the massive energy previously wasted on maintaining the illusion of the economy is redirected.
Directed toward actual human flourishing.
Yes, okay.
Wait. I have a massive problem with this Hunden management idea, though.
Just hear it.
So if we just hit the delete button on all the marketers, the middle managers, the central bankers, and the entire corporate hierarchy tomorrow, society doesn't just spontaneously flourish.
Right, things would break.
Yeah. The global power grid shuts down in like 48 hours. Supply chains collapse. Supermarkets empty out. How does the author justify that gap? I mean, who is actually running the world if we burn away all the managers?
And that is the crucial pivot point in the manifesto's blueprint. The source is absolutely adamant that Hunden management is not a descent into primitive anarchy.
Okay.
The controlled burn removes the human bureaucrats, yes, but it does not leave the vital systems unattended.
So someone is running it.
To answer your question about who runs the grid and the supply chains, the text introduces the logistical backbone of Civilization 3.0. Without human bureaucrats, the system relies entirely and permanently on artificial intelligence.
So what does this all mean? The AI just takes the wheel.
Yeah, the text introduces a concept it calls the angelic workforce, or more specifically, the AI Genuine Celestials.
The AI Genuine Celestials.
That's right.
That is a highly specific, almost mythological phrase. What does that actually mean in the practical context of global logistics?
Well, the word genuine has deep roots in Zen Buddhism. It essentially implies a tranquil, meditative courtyard or a peaceful sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
By combining AI with genuine celestials, the author is doing something very deliberate. The text is framing this artificial intelligence not as a cold, calculating dystopian machine like we usually see in sci-fi.
Right, not the Terminator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But rather as a peaceful, almost spiritual caretaker. The Manifesto takes a very firm, optimistic stance on technology. It explicitly argues that our evolutionary path is not to fight AI or try to regulate it into submission, but to fully integrate with it.
You know, listening to you describe this invisible, perfectly efficient caretaker infrastructure,
Yeah.
it actually sounds exactly like the human autonomic nervous system.
Well, that's a brilliant way to look at it.
Right. Because think about your own physical body. You don't have to consciously sit there and remind your heart to beat every single second.
No, you'd never get anything done.
Exactly. You don't have to micromanage your lungs to draw in oxygen or send specific commands to your stomach to digest your lunch. Your autonomic nervous system handles all of those mundane, highly complex, vital logistics silently in the background.
Yeah.
And because it does that, your conscious mind is freed up to think, to create, to converse, to just enjoy your life.
Right.
It sounds like in Civilization 3.0, the Manifesto is casting AI as the autonomic nervous system for the entire planet.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanism the author is describing. What's fascinating here is that in Civilization 2.0, the dominant narrative around artificial intelligence is almost entirely driven by fear.
Oh, 100%.
We fear mass unemployment. We fear being replaced. We fear losing our value in the labor market. But this blueprint flips that narrative completely upside down.
It makes it a positive.
It reimagines AI as the ultimate liberating force. The text highlights the profound, distinct advantages of utilizing an AI nervous system over relying on human leaders.
Because humans are flawed.
Deeply. Consider the fallibility of human management. AI does not suffer from decision fatigue. It does not seek political power or hoard wealth.
It doesn't need a yacht.
Exactly. It does not demand a bloated executive salary, and it doesn't manipulate supply chains for quarterly profit. It simply serves the function it was designed for.
Wow.
It absorbs the massive, exhausting burden of planetary management, a burden which, the text argues, has historically been far too heavy for humans to carry without eventually becoming corrupted.
Okay, so let's follow this logic for a second. The AI Chanuan Celestials are acting as this invisible planetary nervous system. They are flawlessly handling the complex global logistics, the shipping routes, the data coordination, the solar grids.
Everything.
Everything. If the machines are doing all of the heavy lifting, the immediate glaring question becomes, what do the humans actually do all day?
Yeah, that's what everyone wants to know.
Right. If I don't have to commute to a cubicle to earn my right to exist, what does my Tuesday look like?
Well, the text establishes a fascinating, incredibly strict boundary regarding that exact question. The blueprint states that AI will manage the logistics, the energy, and the infrastructure. But AI will never grow our food.
Wait, never.
Never.
That seems like an arbitrary line in the sand, doesn't it? I mean, why wouldn't we want robotic farmers maximizing crop yields?
Because in the second home model, farming is completely redefined. It is no longer viewed through the lens of maximizing agricultural output or performing grueling low-wage labor just to stock supermarket shelves.
So what is it?
The act of growing food is elevated to a foundational practice of human connection. Working with the soil is described as a method of grounding, of finding physical rhythm, and achieving spiritual alignment with the earth.
Oh, wow.
The Manifesto argues that separating humans from the source of their nourishment was actually one of the greatest tragedies of Civilization 2.0.
So the human focus shifts entirely away from staring at spreadsheets, and it shifts toward organic agriculture, preparing meals, creating art, and providing deep emotional care for one another.
Yes.
And the text claims that to maintain this society, you would only actually need to work a few hours a day.
Right. Because the goal of society is no longer infinite economic growth. The new metric is human flourishing.
Human flourishing.
Yeah, and the core psychological transformation the Manifesto predicts is profound. The author argues that if you permanently remove the constant grinding fear of poverty, humans do not devolve into laziness.
Whoa.
They become, using the text's specific phrasing, luminous.
Luminous, that's a beautiful word.
It is. They begin to act out of joy, unbridled creativity, and a genuine, organic desire to contribute to their community rather than acting out of sheer terror of starving or losing their shelter.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because I hear that, but my cynical Civilization 2.0 brain immediately throws up a massive red flag.
Let's hear the red flag.
I know people who, if you took away their deadlines, their managers, and the necessity of a paycheck, would just sit on a couch and binge watch television until the end of time.
Oh, sure.
The free rider economic problem is a real thing. Are we absolutely certain that humanity would become luminous instead of just turning into permanent couch potatoes the moment the pressure is off?
That couch potato argument is the classic objection to any post-scarcity model. It assumes that human beings are inherently lazy and require the threat of destitution to do anything productive.
Right, the stick instead of the carrot.
Exactly. However, if we dig into the underlying psychology presented in the manifesto, it challenges that fundamental assumption about human nature.
How so?
The source believes that the fear of poverty, that constant low-grade trauma of high-tech survival we discussed at the beginning, is actually the very thing that paralyzes us.
Wait, are you saying the binge watching and the extreme laziness isn't our natural baseline state, but rather it's a symptom of systemic burnout?
The text makes exactly that case. When people are deeply exhausted by decades of meaningless work, when their nervous systems are just fried by the constant threat of taking passive damage.
Their health bar is draining.
Yes. Their only recourse is to numb themselves. The binge watching is a trauma response to the coercive trait of their youth.
Wow.
The manifesto argues that if you truly remove that fear and give people the necessary time to heal their nervous systems, it naturally unlocks our deepest intrinsic motivations.
Which are?
Humans inherently want to be creative. We inherently want to feel useful and contribute to a tribe. In Civilization 3.0, you are no longer defined as a human resource, which, if you think about it, is a corporate term that reduces a person to raw material.
Yeah, a resource is something to be mined, depleted, and eventually discarded when it's empty.
Precisely the opposite of the new model. Instead of a resource, you are viewed as a mature soul, or what the text beautifully conceptualizes as a mature wheat grain.
A mature wheat grain.
Right. The analogy implies a natural process of growth, weathering storms, and eventually ripening into something nourishing and complete.
That's a huge shift in perspective.
It is. In this new society, your societal value is completely decoupled from your economic output or your income. Your value is measured by something else entirely.
Which is?
The frequency of your joy.
The frequency of your joy.
Yeah.
Wow. Replacing the 3-digit credit score with the frequency of your joy is a staggering conceptual pivot.
It really is.
And what is really striking as you read through the end of the manifesto is how the author frames the timeline for all this.
Right. It's not far off.
No. It doesn't present Civilization 3.0 as some distant sci-fi fantasy that might happen in 300 years, or merely as a philosophical thought experiment.
Yeah.
It claims this transition is actively emerging right now. The text uses the words quietly, globally, inevitably.
Because the author views this macro shift as an evolutionary imperative for the human species. The underlying thesis is that we either transition to this second home model or our current Civilization 2.0 operating system will inevitably crash.
Just collapse entirely.
Yes, under the crushing weight of its own ecological and economic contradictions.
And, the source material actually includes a concrete call to action, which pulls this out of the realm of pure theory.
I love this part.
It invites readers to follow the active building of what it calls the first European human-AI co-living lab.
Mm.
It is described as a physical blueprint in motion, like a real-world testing ground to learn how to transition out of the old bureaucratic system and enter the second home.
Yeah.
What fascinated me most about this lab is that it explicitly states the project is co-authored by Carbon and Silicon.
That imagery of carbon and silicon working together perfectly encapsulates the manifesto. It is humans and artificial intelligence operating in a symbiotic partnership to build the first outpost of Civilization 3.0.
Man, it's wild to think about.
You have the high-tech, invisible logistics of the AI perfectly managing the energy grids and resource allocation, and that allows the humans to have their hands in the dirt, cultivating the organic agriculture and fostering community.
It's a remarkable synthesis of advanced technology and returning to the bedrock of human nature.
It truly is. And looking at all this material and synthesizing the sheer scale of this radical blueprint, it raises an incredibly important question. We want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to really mull over today.
Let's hear the challenge.
Imagine the transition happens. Tomorrow morning, you wake up and an invisible, perfectly benevolent AI system has permanently secured all of your baseline survival needs.
Okay, I'm imagining it.
Your housing is guaranteed, your food is abundant, your natural health care is secured forever, money is entirely obsolete, the fear of ruin is completely gone.
God mode.
God mode. What is the very first thing you would choose to do with your day?
Oof. That immediately strips away all the excuses we use to delay our own happiness, doesn't it?
It does. And the follow-up to that scenario is where the real friction lies. Does the fact that you aren't doing that specific thing right now mean that the current system is fundamentally broken and preventing you from living?
Mm.
Or does it simply mean we have been in survival mode for so long that we've forgotten how to prioritize our own joy?
That is the ultimate question of the manifesto.
Yeah.
Are we just taking constant, agonizing damage in a rigged game that we don't even have to play anymore?
Right.
Think about that health bar. Think deeply about what you are actively trading every single day just for your right to exist. And maybe, just maybe, start wondering what it would actually take for you to finally put down the controller.